Commander Yunsik stood on the bridge of the stellar wind, watching the small blue planet turn slowly on the main screen. His gray skin showed the typical scars of a consortium warrior, and his forearms moved with practiced ease across the control panels. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. "Report," Yunsik said in his deep voice. Navigator Hay-1 looked up from her station. Her large black eyes reflected the blue light from the planet below. Third planet from the star. Perfect distance for liquid water, lots of green areas and white clouds. Population approximately 7 billion? 7 billion? Yunsik raised one eyebrow. That is a lot for such a small world. Yes, Commander, Hay-1 said. They live very close together in big groups. Communications Officer Jinwoo turned from his equipment. His long fingers danced over the controls as he spoke. I am picking up many signals from the planet. Radio waves, television broadcasts, and something they call the Internet. Show me, Yunsik ordered. The main screen changed to show waves of electronic signals coming from Earth. The patterns looked complex and organized. Jinwoo adjusted the controls, and suddenly voices filled the bridge. Human voices speaking in different languages. Interesting, said science specialist So Young, from her corner station. She was smaller than the others, with bright yellow markings on her arms. Their technology is not very advanced, but they use it in smart ways, Yunsik nodded. This was standard procedure for the Galactic Trade Consortium. Find new worlds. Study the local species. Decide if they were useful or dangerous. If useful, make them slaves. If dangerous, kill them all. If neither, ignore them. What do we know about their military? Yunsik asked. Jinwoo worked his controls again. They have weapons, but nothing that can reach space in any real way. Some rockets, but very basic. They fight each other more than they work together. Good, Yunsik said. That makes our job easier. So Young looked troubled. Commander, may I show you something strange? What is it? So Young brought up new data on her screen. I have been studying their mathematics and science. Look at this. The screen showed human equations and scientific papers. Even though the aliens could not read human writing, the mathematics was clear. Numbers and formulas that made sense. They understand gravity, So Young said. They know about atoms and energy. They even know about black holes and other galaxies. So, Hay-1 asked, many species know these things. But look at their technology level, So Young pointed to. Another screen. They barely have space travel. Most still use chemical rockets, yet their science is very advanced. This does not match, Yunsik frowned. In his 20 years with the consortium, he had never seen this before. Usually, species either had both advanced science and technology or neither. Maybe they are just slow learners, Jinwoo suggested. Or maybe they choose not to build certain things, So Young said quietly. The bridge fell silent. The idea that a species might choose to limit its own technology was very strange to the consortium races. They always built the biggest weapons and fastest ships they could. Commander, Hay-1 said, orders from High Command are clear. We evaluate the threat level and act quickly. This species has nuclear weapons. That makes them potentially dangerous. Yunsik looked at the blue planet again. Standard protocol? Was simple. A species with nuclear weapons could eventually become a problem. Better to remove the problem now, while it was still small. Pull up their nuclear weapons data, he ordered. Jinwoo worked quickly. They have thousands of nuclear weapons, Commander. Enough to destroy their own planet several times over. There, Hay-1 said. Clear threat. We should report back and request a strike fleet, but So Young was shaking her head. Look closer at the data, Jinwoo. When did they last use these weapons in war? Jinwoo checked his readings. According to their history, 80 years ago, only twice. Both times on the same continent. 80 years? Yunsik was surprised. They have had these weapons for 80 years and only used them twice? Yes, Commander. And since then, they have made agreements not to use them. They call these treaties. So Young pulled up more data. Look at this. They have weapons that could kill everyone on their planet, but they choose not to use them. They even work together to stop other groups from getting these weapons. Yunsik studied the information. This was very unusual. Most species used their best weapons as soon as they had them. It was natural to want to win fights quickly. Maybe they are just afraid, Hei-Wan suggested. No, So Young said. Look at their other wars. They fight often, but with smaller weapons. They could use the big weapons to win quickly, but they do not. Jinwu was listening to more human broadcasts. Commander, I am hearing something odd. They have something called the United Nations. It is like a consortium, but they try to stop wars instead of starting them. That makes no sense, Hei-Wan said. Why would you want to stop wars? War decides. Who is strongest? I do not know, Jinwu admitted. But they spend much time talking about peace and cooperation. Yunsik walked to the large window that showed the planet Earth. The blue and white world looked peaceful from space. No orbital weapons, no defense fleets. No warning signals telling them to stay away. So Young, he said, in your opinion as our science specialist, what kind of threat do these humans represent? So Young was quiet for a long moment. Commander, I have studied many species for the consortium. This one is different. They have the knowledge to build terrible weapons. They have the numbers to be a real force in the galaxy. But they seem to choose not to do these things. Choose not to. Be strong? Hei-Wan asked. That sounds like weakness. Maybe, So Young said. Oh, maybe it is a different kind of strength. Yunsik made his decision. We will observe them for one local month before taking action. I want to understand what we are dealing with. Commander, Hei-Wan said carefully, that is not standard protocol. High Command expects quick decisions. High Command is not here, Yunsik replied. We will watch and learn. If they are truly dangerous, 1 month will not matter. If they are not ... double quotes, he paused. Then we need to be very sure before we act. Jinwu adjusted the ship's position to a better observation point. Orders, Commander? Full passive scan. Monitor all communications. Record everything. I want to know how these humans think and why they make the choices they do. As the stellar wind settled into its watching position, Yunsik continued to stare at Earth. Something about this blue world felt different. The humans down there had the power to destroy themselves, but chose not to. They fought wars, but tried to limit them. They had advanced science, but seemed to care more about other things. What kind of species chose peace when they could choose war? What kind of people limited their own power? And most importantly, what did that mean for the Galactic Trade Consortium's plans? Yunsik had a feeling that the next month would change everything he thought he knew about strength, power, and what it truly meant to be dangerous. 3 weeks had passed since the stellar wind began watching Earth. Commander, Yunsik had never seen his crew so interested in their work. Usually observation missions were boring. Watch a planet for a few days, count the weapons, measure the technology, then move on to the next target, but Earth was different. Commander, Navigator Hei-Wan called from her station. There is a large storm hitting the eastern continent. The humans call it a hurricane. Yunsik walked over to her station. On the screen, he could see a massive spiral of clouds spinning over the ocean. It was moving toward land where millions of humans lived. Are they running away? He asked. Some are, Hei-Wan said. But look at this. She changed the view to show the coastal areas. Instead of chaos and panic, Yunsik saw something organized. Humans were helping each other pack and leave. Others were putting boards over windows and securing their homes. Emergency vehicles moved through the streets in careful patterns. They are working together, Yunsik observed. Yes, but watch this part, Hei-Wan said, pointing to a section of the coast. On the screen, Yunsik saw humans in boats going toward the storm, not away from it. The boats were marked with red crosses and other symbols. What are they doing? He asked. Communications Officer Jinwu had been listening to human radio signals. They are rescue teams, Commander. They are going to help people who could not leave in time. Going into the storm? Yunsik was confused. That is very dangerous. Yes, Jinwoo said. Many of them might die, but they are going anyway. The crew watched for hours as the storm hit the coast. The winds were strong enough to destroy buildings. Rain fell like waterfalls, but through it all the human rescue teams kept working. They used boats, helicopters, and even walked through flooded streets to help people. "Look at this," science specialist So Young called from her station. She had been watching a different part of the planet. "There's an earthquake in the western mountains." The screen showed a rocky area where the ground had shaken and broken. Several small towns were damaged. Roads were cracked and bridges had fallen down. "Here come their emergency teams again," Jinwoo reported. Just like with the storm, humans were rushing toward the danger. Teams with special equipment came from far away. They brought food, water, medicine, and tools to dig people out of the broken buildings. "Commander," So Young said quietly, "I have been watching these emergency responses for weeks. This is not normal behavior for any species I know." "What do you mean?" Yoon-sik asked. "Most species help their own families, maybe their own tribes, but these humans help complete strangers. Look at the earthquake teams. They came from the other side of the planet. They do not even speak the same language as the people they are helping." Hae-won had been tracking the rescue operations. The teams helping with the earthquake, they are from 12 different countries. Some of these countries do not even like each other very much, but they still help? Yoon-sik asked. "Yes, Commander. When there is trouble, they seem to forget their fights with each other." Jinwoo was shaking his head as he listened to more radio signals. "I am hearing something very strange. In the storm area, some of the rescue teams are not even human emergency workers." "What do you mean?" So Young asked. "Regular people. A baker, a teacher, a person who fixes cars. They have their own boats, and they are helping the rescue team save people." The bridge fell silent. This was beyond strange. In consortium space, only trained soldiers did dangerous work. Regular people stayed safe and let the warriors handle problems. "Show me their entertainment programs," Yoon-sik ordered. Jinwoo switched to human television signals. The screen filled with stories, movies, and shows that humans watched for fun. "Analyze the themes," Yoon-sik said. So Young worked on her computer for several minutes. "Commander, this is very interesting. Many of their stories are about people who sacrifice themselves to save others. They call these people heroes." "Heroes?" "Yes, people who risk their own lives to protect people they do not even know. And the other humans greatly respect these heroes." One looked up from her navigation charts. "In consortium culture, we respect people who are strong and win fights. These humans respect people who help others." "It appears so," Song said. "They have stories about teachers who protect students, soldiers who save civilians, even regular people who jump into rivers to save someone who is drowning." Jinwoo found another strange thing. "Commander, they have organizations dedicated to helping animals." "Animals?" "Yes, not just useful animals like food or transportation, all animals. They have people who spend their lives protecting creatures that have no value at all." On the screen, Jinwoo showed them human wildlife rescue centers. Humans were taking care of injured birds, feeding orphaned mammals, and even protecting insects and plants that were disappearing. "This makes no sense," Hae-won said. "Why waste resources on useless creatures?" "I do not know," Jinwoo admitted. "But they seem to think all life is important, not just human life." So Young had found something else. "Look at this, Commander. They have areas called national parks. Large sections of their planet where no one is allowed to build or hunt or change anything. They keep these places just so the plants and animals can live there safely." Yoon-sik studied the images of vast forests, mountains, and grasslands that humans had chosen to leave untouched. "They have enough space for 7 billion people, but they give land to trees and the animals that live with the trees," So Young confirmed. "Even though they could use that land for cities or farms or mines?" "Yes, Commander, they choose not to." For the next several days, the crew found more examples of this unusual human behavior. Humans spending their own money to clean polluted rivers. Humans traveling to other continents to help build schools and hospitals. Humans creating medicines and giving them away for free to people who could not pay. Commander, HFY said one morning, I have been thinking about what we have observed. What conclusion have you reached? These humans are either the weakest species in the galaxy or... She paused. Or they are something completely new. Something we have never encountered before. So Young nodded. In all our records of other species, strength means taking what you want and destroying enemies quickly. But these humans seem to think strength means protecting others and giving things away. Jinwoo was monitoring a new situation. Commander, there is a fire in one of their forests. It is spreading quickly toward a small town. They watched as human firefighters rushed to battle the flames. But something else caught Yoon-sik's attention. Are those civilians helping the firefighters? He asked. Yes, Commander. Farmers are bringing water trucks. Pilots are flying their own aircraft to help spot the fire. Even children are helping by bringing food and water to the firefighters. All volunteers? Yes. No one is making them help. They choose to. Yoon-sik stood quietly for a long time, watching humans work together to fight the fire. They were not trained soldiers, they were not following orders from leaders. They were just helping. So Young, he said finally, what is your assessment of this species? Commander, I believe we are watching something that has never existed before in galactic history. A species that has become strong by choosing to protect instead of destroy? They could easily conquer other species, but they use their strength to save their own planet instead. And what does that mean for us? So Young looked directly at her commander. I think it means we need to be very careful about our next decision. Because these humans might not be a threat to the galaxy. They might be exactly what the galaxy needs. Outside the ship's windows, Earth continued to spin peacefully in space, unaware that its fate was being decided by 4 aliens who had come to destroy it, but were now learning what it truly meant to be human. Commander Yoon-sik had made a decision that could end his career. After watching humans for nearly a month, he still did not understand them. The Consortium High Command was sending messages every day asking for his report. Soon, they would send another ship to check on him, but first, he needed to know the truth about humans. Jinwoo, he called to his communications officer. I need you to do something that is not in our normal procedures. Jinwoo looked nervous. What do you need? Commander? I want you to cause a problem for the humans. Something that looks like an accident, not an attack? The bridge crew looked at each other with worry. This was very dangerous. If High Command found out they were interfering with a species under observation, they could all be executed. What kind of problem? Jinwoo asked. Yoon-sik pointed to the main screen, which showed a human space station orbiting Earth. That station has about 50 humans on it. Can you disable their power systems without killing anyone? Yes, Commander. But why? I want to see how other humans react when their people are in danger. So Young understood first. You want to test if they will risk their lives to save others, even in space where it is much more dangerous. Exactly. Jinwoo worked at his station for an hour, carefully planning how to disable the space station safely. Finally, he looked up. Ready, Commander? I can shut down their main power and backup systems. They will have about 6 hours of emergency power left. Do it. The crew watched as the human space station went dark. Emergency lights came on, but the main systems were dead. Inside the station, 50 humans were now in serious danger. How long before they run out of air? HFY asked. 12 hours, So Young calculated. But their heating will fail in 4 hours. They will freeze to death before they suffocate. And rescue from Earth? Impossible with their current technology. It would take at least 2 days to prepare a rescue mission. For a moment, Yoon-sik wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Maybe he had just killed 50 innocent people to satisfy his curiosity. Then Jinwoo spoke up. Commander, I am receiving emergency signals from Earth. On the main screen, they could see the human space agencies responding to the crisis. Within minutes, every major space program on Earth was working together. Countries that rarely cooperated were sharing resources and information. "Look at this," Hay1 said, pointing to her navigation display. "They are launching everything they have." 3 different rockets were being prepared at the same time. One from the continent they called North America, one from Europe, and one from Asia, but the most interesting thing was happening at a spaceport in Asia. "That rocket was not supposed to launch for another month," So Young observed. "It is carrying supplies to a different space station." Jinwoo was listening to the radio communications. "They are removing the supplies and loading rescue equipment." Instead, the mission commander is someone called Tae Hyun. On the screen, they could see the Korean astronaut Tae Hyun working quickly with his team to modify their mission. Ground control was being managed by controller Minji, while engineer Biorem handled the technical problems. "Will they reach the station in time?" Yoon-sik asked. "Barely," So Young said, "but only if everything goes perfectly." They watched as the first rescue rocket launched. The humans had never attempted such a quick rescue mission before. Everything was improvised and dangerous. "Commander," Jinwoo said quietly, "I am also hearing something else." "What?" "The humans on the space station know they are probably going to die, but they are not panicking. They are using their remaining power to send scientific data back to Earth. They want to make sure their research is not lost." Yoon-sik felt something strange in his chest. These humans thought they were about to die, but they were still trying to help others by saving their work. The rescue mission was not going well. The first rocket had mechanical problems. The second rocket was delayed by weather. Only Tae Hyun's mission was still on schedule, but his rocket was smaller and could only rescue half the people on the station. "They will have to choose who to save," Hae-won said. "No," Jinwoo corrected her. "Listen to this." The radio communications from the rescue mission were clear. Tae Hyun was not planning to choose who to save. He was planning to save everyone. Or die trying. "His ship cannot carry 50 people," So Young pointed out. "He knows that," Jinwoo said. "But he is going to try anyway." They watched as Tae Hyun's rocket reached the space station. The Korean astronaut worked quickly to connect his ship to the station. Then came the most amazing part. "He is not taking anyone off the station," Hae-won said in confusion. "Look closer," So Young said. "He is transferring his life support systems to the station. He is giving them his air, his power, his heat. But that means he will die so they can live longer, long enough for the other rescue missions to reach them." Yoon-sik could not believe what he was seeing. This human was deliberately sacrificing his life for people he had never met before this day, but the story was not over. Ground controller Minji and engineer Bio-ram had found a solution. By using Tae Hyun's ship as a bridge, they could transfer people to the rescue ships one at a time when they arrived. "The second rescue ship is approaching," Jinwoo reported. Working together, the humans managed to save everyone on the station, but the most shocking part came at the end. Tae Hyun had used almost all his life support to keep the station alive. He barely had enough left to survive the return trip to Earth. "He almost died," Hae-won said. "Yes," So Young agreed. "And he knew he might die when he made the decision to help." But there was something else that amazed the alien crew. During the rescue operation, they had detected something else on the space station: research animals, laboratory mice and rats, that were being used for experiments. "Look at this," Jinwoo said. "They saved the animals too." "What?" "The humans. They did not leave the research animals behind. Someone carried them to the rescue ships." Yoon-sik stared at the screen. These humans had risked their lives to save not just other humans, but small creatures that most species would consider worthless. "Commander," So Young said softly, "I think we have our answer about humans." "What answer?" "They are not just a species that chooses to protect others. They are a species that cannot help themselves from protecting others. It is not a choice for them. It is who they are." Yoon-sik nodded slowly. The test had been successful, but not in the way he had expected. He had learned that humans were not just different from other species. They were something completely new. Science specialist So Young had not slept in 3 days. After the space station rescue, she had been studying human history with new eyes. What she found disturbed her more than anything she had ever discovered. "Commander," she called across. "The bridge. I need to show you something important." Yun-Sik walked over to her station. The screen was filled with human historical records, but not the kind they had been looking at before. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "Human wars, Commander." "All of them, going back thousands of years." Yun-Sik frowned. "I thought we decided humans were peaceful." "That is what I thought too, but look at this data." So Young brought up charts and numbers that showed human conflicts throughout history. Wars, battles, invasions, genocides. The numbers were shocking. "They have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history," So Young said. "Some of their wars killed millions of people." Navigator Haywon came over to look. "So they are violent after all? That means they are dangerous." "Wait," So Young said. "Let me show you the rest." She changed the display to show more recent human history. "Look at what happened in their last big war about 80 years ago." The screen showed the massive conflict humans called World War II. Millions of soldiers had died. Entire cities had been destroyed. It was exactly the kind of violence the consortium expected from a species with nuclear weapons. "So they are like every other species," Haywon said. "They fight until someone wins." "No," So Young said quietly. "Look at what they did after the war ended." She showed them something unprecedented in galactic history. The humans who had won the war did not enslave the ones who lost. They did not take their land or resources. Instead, they helped rebuild the countries they had been fighting. "This makes no sense," Communications Officer Jinwoo said. "Why help your enemies?" "Because they stopped being enemies," So Young explained. "Look at this. The countries that were fighting each other 80 years ago are now allies. They trade with each other. They help each other. Some of them have formed unions where they share resources and make decisions together." Yun-Sik studied the data carefully. "You are saying they learned to stop fighting?" "More than that, Commander. They created rules about fighting." So Young brought up what humans called the Geneva Conventions and other international laws. These were agreements about how wars should be fought, if they had to be fought at all. "Rules about war?" "Hey," one asked. "What kind of rules?" "Rules that say you cannot hurt civilians. Rules that say you must take care of enemy soldiers who are wounded or captured. Rules that say some weapons are too terrible to use, even in war." Jinwoo was reading the human documents on his screen. "They have agreements that say certain places cannot be attacked. Hospitals, schools, religious buildings." "And they actually follow these rules?" Yun-Sik asked. "Most of the time, yes. And when someone breaks the rules, other humans try to punish them." So Young brought up more recent data. "Look at their current military actions, Commander. Even when they fight now, they try to minimize casualties. They spend more money on precision weapons that hit only military targets instead of cheaper weapons that destroy everything." "That is not efficient," Haewon pointed out. "No, it is not efficient. But it saves civilian lives." The most shocking discovery came next. So Young showed them human peacekeeping missions. "What is this?" Yun-Sik asked. "Humans from different countries work together to stop wars in other places. They go to dangerous areas not to fight, but to protect civilians and help negotiate peace. They risk their lives to stop wars they are not even part of." "Yes, Commander, and look at this." So Young showed them records of human soldiers who had refused to follow orders when those orders would have harmed innocent people. Some had been punished by their own governments for refusing to kill civilians. "They put protecting innocent people above following orders?" Jinwoo asked. "Some of them do, yes. But the most important discovery was still to come." So Young brought up classified human military documents that Jinwoo had intercepted. "Commander, humans have developed weapons that could destroy their entire planet. But look at their military doctrines. The screen showed human military planning documents. They had detailed plans for using conventional weapons, but their nuclear weapons policies were very different. They have rules about when these weapons can be used, So Young explained, very strict rules. And multiple people have to agree before the weapons can be fired. Multiple people? Yes, no single human can decide to use their most powerful weapons. They require agreement from several leaders. Yoon-sik was amazed. In consortium space, military commanders had complete authority over their weapons. The idea of requiring permission from multiple people seemed impossible. There is more, So Young said. They have been reducing the number of these weapons for decades. They have signed agreements to limit them, control them, and eventually eliminate them completely. They are voluntarily giving up their most powerful weapons? Yes, Commander. Because they believe these weapons are too dangerous to exist. Hey, one shook her head. This goes against everything we know about species development. As you become more advanced, you build better weapons. Humans do build better weapons, So Young agreed. But they also build better rules about when to use them. Jin Woo had found something else in the human communications. Commander, I have been monitoring their current political discussions. They are debating whether to spend money on military weapons or on something they call humanitarian aid. What is humanitarian aid? Help for people in other countries who are suffering from wars, natural disasters, or poverty. Medicine, food, clean water, education. They want to spend military money on helping people in other countries? Some of them do, yes. They argue about it, but many humans believe they should help others even if those others cannot help them back. So Young brought up her final piece of evidence. Commander, I have analyzed human cultural evolution over the past 1,000 years. Look at this pattern. The screen showed a graph that started high and gradually decreased over time. What does this represent? Yoon-sik asked, violence per capita. Humans are becoming less violent over time. Not just because they have better weapons, but because they are choosing to be less violent. Choosing? Yes, Commander. Their capacity for violence has increased dramatically, but their actual use of violence has decreased. They are deliberately evolving away from their violent instincts. The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this information. Every species the consortium had encountered followed the same pattern. Develop weapons, use weapons, conquer others, repeat. But humans seem to be breaking that pattern. So Young, Yoon-sik said finally, what is your professional assessment of the human species? So Young looked directly at her commander. Commander, I believe humans represent a new stage of evolution. Not just biological evolution, but moral evolution. They are becoming something that has never existed before in the galaxy. Which is? A species that has transcended its violent nature not through weakness, but through choice. They have become powerful enough to destroy anyone, including themselves, but they choose not to. And what does that mean for the consortium? So, Young's answer would change everything. It means we are about to make the biggest mistake in galactic history. We are about to destroy the one species that could teach the rest of us how to be better than we are. The message from Consortium High Command arrived exactly when Commander Yoon-sik had been expecting it. But that did not make it any easier to read. Admiral Kyung-ho will arrive in 3 days with Battle Fleet 7, Communications Officer Jin Woo reported. He demands a full report on why we have not completed our mission. Commander Yoon-sik stood at the main window. Looking down at Earth, the blue planet continued its peaceful rotation, unaware that its fate was about to be decided by forces beyond its understanding. Commander, Navigator Haewon said quietly, what are we going to tell the Admiral? It was a good question. How do you explain to a consortium military leader that the species you were sent to evaluate had completely changed your understanding of what it meant to be intelligent life? We tell him the truth, Yoon-sik said. The truth about what? That humans are not a threat to the consortium. They are something the consortium has never encountered before. Science specialist So Young looked up from her station. Commander, With respect, Admiral Kyung-ho will not care about human uniqueness. He will only care about potential threats to consortium expansion. Then we will have to make him understand. 3 days later, Battle Fleet 7 arrived in Earth's solar system. 7 massive warships, each capable of destroying a planet's surface in a matter of hours. The stellar wind looked like a small toy next to Admiral Kyung-ho's flagship, the Iron Fist. Commander Yoon-sik, report to the flagship immediately. Came the order. An hour later, Yoon-sik stood in Admiral Kyung-ho's command center. The admiral was a large, scarred veteran of dozens of conquest campaigns. His reputation for efficiency was legendary throughout the consortium. Explain your delay, Admiral Kyung-ho said without greeting. Admiral, the human species requires special consideration. All species require the same consideration. Are they useful? Are they dangerous? If neither, ignore them. If either, act accordingly. Humans have nuclear weapons. That makes them potentially dangerous. We act accordingly. Yoon-sik had prepared for this. Admiral, may I present my findings? You have 5 minutes. Yoon-sik activated his datapad and began showing the admiral what his crew had observed. The rescue operations during natural disasters, the space station rescue, the wildlife conservation efforts, the international cooperation. Admiral Kyung-ho watched without expression. When Yoon-sik finished, there was a long silence. Commander, the admiral said finally, are you telling me that you delayed a standard threat assessment because these humans help each other? Admiral, they represent something completely new in galactic civilization. They represent a potential threat that has been allowed to develop for an extra month because of your curiosity. Sir, they have had nuclear weapons for 80 years and have used them only twice. They have actively reduced their nuclear arsenals and created international agreements to prevent their use. Irrelevant. Sir, they have the scientific knowledge to develop interstellar travel, but they spend their resources on protecting their environment and helping other species on their planet. Irrelevant. Admiral, they risk their lives to save complete strangers. They have evolved beyond their violent instincts through conscious choice. Admiral Kyung-ho slammed his hand on the command table. Commander, I do not care if these humans sing lullabies to their offspring and feed stray animals. They have the potential to develop into a threat. We eliminate potential threats, that is our job. But Admiral, no, Commander. You have allowed personal feelings to interfere with your military judgment. Battle Fleet 7 will sterilize the human planet tomorrow. You and your crew will observe and record the operation for training purposes. Yoon-sik felt something break inside his chest. Admiral, I formally request that you review my complete findings before taking action. Request denied. Return to your ship and prepare for observation duty. That night, aboard the Stellar Wind, Yoon-sik called his crew together in the ship's small conference room. Admiral Kyung-ho will begin the bombardment of Earth in 18 hours, he told them. The crew sat in shocked silence. Commander, Hae-won said finally, surely there must be something we can do. Such as? We could contact Consortium High Command directly, request a delay for further study. The Admiral has full authority for this operation. Jin-woo spoke up. What if we told the humans what was coming? Gave them a chance to evacuate or defend themselves? That would be treason against the consortium, would it? So-young asked quietly. Everyone looked at her. Commander, we swore an oath to protect the consortium from threats. But what if the real threat is not the humans? What if the real threat is what we become when we destroy a species like this? The Yoon-sik understood what she was saying. You believe that destroying the humans would damage the consortium. I believe that destroying the humans would be the end of any claim the consortium has to being a civilized institution. Hey, one was nodding. Commander, in all my years as a navigator, I have helped the consortium conquer 17 different species. Most of them were violent, aggressive, and dangerous. But humans are what we could become if we chose. To be better instead of choosing to be stronger, Jin-woo finished. So-young pulled up her data on human moral evolution. Commander, look at this pattern again. Humans have the same violent instincts we do, but they learn to control them, then to redirect them, then to transcend them entirely. They prove that intelligence can evolve beyond violence. And if we destroy them, Haywan said, we destroy the proof that evolution is possible. Yunsik looked at each of his crew members. These were people he had served with for years, people he trusted with his life, and they were asking him to commit treason against everything they had been taught to believe. If we warn the humans, he said slowly, we will be marked as traitors. We will be hunted by the consortium for the rest of our lives. Yes, So Young said. If we do nothing, he continued, we will spend the rest of our lives knowing that we helped destroy something unique and precious in the galaxy. Yes, Jinwu agreed. And if the humans somehow survive our warning and fight back, many consortium soldiers will die. Yes, Haywan said. But Commander, many more will die if this continues. Because if we can destroy humans, we can destroy anyone, and eventually we will destroy ourselves. Yunsik stood up and walked to the window. Earth was visible below, blue and white and beautiful. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were going about their daily lives, helping each other, protecting their environment, creating art and music and literature, dreaming of a better future. In 18 hours, it would all be gone. Unless. Jinwu, he said without turning around, can you send a message to Earth without the fleet detecting it? Yes, Commander, but what should I tell them? Yunsik turned to face his crew. Tell them the truth. Tell them that tomorrow ships will come from the stars, not to trade or to talk, but to destroy. Tell them they have one chance to prove that. Intelligence is stronger than violence. And then? Then we find out if humans really are as special as we think they are. The message reached Earth at exactly 3:47 a.m., Greenwich Mean Time. It was detected simultaneously by radio telescopes in 12 different countries. Within minutes, every major government on Earth had been notified. The message was simple and terrifying. People of Earth, ships come tomorrow to destroy your world. Not because you have done wrong, but because you might become strong. You have 18 hours. Prove that you are more than they think you are. Friends who believe in you. Admiral Sungjun of the United Earth Space Defense Force had been awakened by the emergency call. Within an hour, he was in the command center with his senior staff, Colonel A.A., Commander Dongmin, and dozens of other officers from around the world. Analysis? Admiral Sungjun asked. The message appears to be genuine, reported Colonel A.A. The signal came from approximately 40,000 kilometers above Earth. No human technology could broadcast from that location. Defense options? Commander Dongmin shook his head. Admiral, our most advanced weapons are barely capable of reaching orbit. If someone has the technology to travel between stars, our military capabilities are effectively zero. Evacuation? Impossible. Even if we had enough spacecraft, which we do not, there is nowhere to evacuate 7 billion people to. Admiral Sungjun looked at the world map on the main screen. Every major city was lit up as governments tried to figure out what to do. Some countries were preparing their militaries for a hopeless fight. Others were trying to hide their populations. Underground? Sir, Colonel Aya said quietly, there is one other option. What? We could try to make contact. Try to negotiate. With aliens who have already decided to destroy us? The message said, friends who believe in you sent the warning. That means not all of them want us dead. Commander Dongmin was studying the message again. Admiral, look at this phrase. Prove that you are more than they think you are. What do you think that means? Before Admiral Sungjun could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the command center. Ships detected, reported the sensor officer. 7 large vessels entering Earth orbit. On the main screen, they could see the consortium battle fleet. Positioning itself around Earth, the ships were massive, clearly designed for destruction. Communication from the alien fleet, reported the communications officer. Put it through. A harsh alien voice filled the command center. People of Earth, you have been judged a potential threat to galactic stability. Evacuation will begin in 1 hour. Any resistance will result in immediate termination. The transmission ended. Evacuation? Colonel Aya asked. Where would they evacuate us to? Commander Dongmin was studying the alien ships. Look at their positions, Admiral. They are not positioned for evacuation. They are positioned for bombardment. So they lied to us. Yes, sir. Admiral Sungjun made a decision that would change galactic history. Open a channel to all Earth forces. Channel open, sir. This is Admiral Sungjun to all Earth Defense Forces. We have been threatened with extinction by an alien fleet. We cannot match their weapons. We cannot escape their range. We cannot hide from their sensors. Around the world, military commanders listen to their leaders' words. However, the Admiral continued, we can choose how we face this threat. We can choose to be the people we have always tried to be, even at the end. In space, aboard the Stellar Wind, Commander Yun-Sik and his crew watched the human response to the Consortium ultimatum. What are they doing? Navigator Hay-1 asked. Communications Officer Jinwoo was monitoring Earth's communications. They are reorganizing, Commander. Organizing for battle. No, organizing for something else. On the screen, they could see human spacecraft launching from Earth, but these were not military vessels. They were civilian ships, cargo haulers, and even private yachts. Admiral Kyung-ho is ordering them to stop, Jinwoo reported, but the human ships did not stop. Instead, they positioned themselves between the Consortium fleet and Earth. What are they doing? So Young asked. The answer came in a transmission from Earth, broadcast on all frequencies, so that both the Consortium fleet and the human ships could hear it. This is Admiral Sungjun of Earth Defense Command. We understand that you consider us a threat. We understand that you have the power to destroy us. But before you do, we want you to understand who we are. The transmission continued. The ships you see before you are not warships. They are rescue vessels, supply ships, and civilian craft. They are crewed by volunteers from 57 different nations. They are here not to fight you, but to protect others. Others? Admiral Kyung-ho's voice came over the communication channel. What others? The Consortium colony on Titan, the mining station on Europa, the research outpost on Mars, all of your people who are in this system. Aboard the Iron Fist, Admiral Kyung-ho stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The human ships were indeed positioning themselves to protect Consortium installations throughout the solar system. Sir, his tactical officer reported, if we fire on Earth, the debris field will destroy our own facilities. Then we move our people first. Sir, the humans are offering to evacuate our people for us. Their ships are better suited for civilian evacuation than our warships. Admiral Kyung-ho could not believe what he was hearing. They want to evacuate our people? The same people who came here to destroy them. The answer came in another transmission from Earth. This is Admiral Sungjun. We know you came here to destroy us. But there are Consortium civilians in this system who have done nothing wrong. They should not die because of decisions made by their military leaders. We are offering safe passage to all Consortium non-combatants. Our ships will escort them to safe distance before you do what you came here to do. The communication channel fell silent. Aboard the Stellar Wind, science specialist So Young was crying. Yun-Sik had never seen a Consortium officer cry before. Commander, she said through her tears, they are protecting our people. Even knowing they are about to die, they are protecting our people. Navigator Hay-1 was staring at her tactical display. Commander, this is impossible. No species protects their enemies. Humans do, Communications Officer Jinwoo said quietly. The silence was broken by Admiral Kyung-ho's voice over the fleet communication channel. All ships, prepare to fire on human positions. But something unprecedented happened. Several Consortium ships did not acknowledge the order. Thunder of Stars report, Admiral Kyung-ho demanded. Admiral, this is Captain Yoon-ho of the Thunder of Stars. I cannot fire on a species that is trying to protect my crew's families. Captain, you are relieved of command. Lightning Strike report. Admiral, this is Captain Haejun of the Lightning Strike. Sir, I have grandparents on Europa. The humans are offering to save them. How can I kill people who are trying to save my family? One by one, ships throughout the consortium fleet began to refuse orders. Admiral Kyung-ho's voice became desperate. All ships, fire immediately. That is a direct order. The response came not from his fleet, but from Commander Yoon-sik aboard the Stellar Wind. Admiral, we cannot fire on the humans. Commander, you are under arrest for treason. Yes, sir. But we still cannot fire on the humans. Why not? Yoon-sik looked at his crew, then at the image of Earth on his screen. Because, Admiral, we have learned something important. We don't kill humans. Not because we cannot, but because we have learned what they truly are. What are they? They are what we could become if we chose to protect instead of destroy. They are what the galaxy needs to survive its own violence. They are guardians, Admiral. And guardians are too precious to destroy. The Battle Fleet 7 had become the first military force in consortium history to refuse a direct order to fire. And they did it to protect the very people they had been sent to destroy. 3 hours later, Admiral Kyung-ho formally surrendered. To Admiral Sung-jun of Earth, the surrender was not because Earth had superior weapons, but because the consortium forces could not bring themselves to destroy a species that used their final hours to protect their enemies. The formal surrender document contained a single phrase that would change galactic civilization forever. We surrender because we have learned that true strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the choice to protect. Humanity has taught us that evolution includes moral development and that intelligence can transcend violence. We don't kill humans because humans have shown us how to be better than we thought possible. Earth became the first planet in galactic history to defeat an invasion through compassion rather than warfare. And the Galactic Trade Consortium began its transformation from a military empire into something that had never existed before, a civilization dedicated to protection rather than conquest. All because of 4 aliens who chose to watch and learn, and billions of humans who chose to protect rather than destroy, even when facing their own extinction. The galaxy would never be the same.